Do you have that one with that guy who was in that movie that was out last year?
Okay, so I wanted to make a little video of just kind of what I wind up getting when I do go buy stuff when I'm picking. If a collection comes in the store, I usually just buy the whole thing. I don't really pick through it. I don't like to do that to people. But if I'm going around to places and I'm picking individual DVDs up or VHSs, I just want to give you guys kind of an idea of how I put the stock in the store, I guess. Now I've explained before, I'm brick and mortar. I don't sell anything online. I don't believe in that. If I have a store, that's my own thing. Everything I say in here is going to be really opinionated because I'm just one of those people. But it's going to be my opinion, so don't get too butthurt about anything I say because everybody, like my grandfather used to say, opinions are like assholes. Everybody's got one. But that being said, this is not going to be like everything that I like. I'm not going to say I like all these, and I'll explain. I didn't take anything out and put anything in. This is what I've gotten in the past 2 days, going to a couple different places. And the thing with my store is, I have something for everyone. There's like an old guy that comes in and gets rom-coms, and he's like 70 years old or something. There's a couple younger girls that are in their early 20s, I assume, and they just kind of get like different stuff, like Degrassi High and stuff. I know what it is, but I wouldn't really watch it myself. But there's all kinds of people that get all kinds of different stuff, and my problem is with when I go around to places myself, it's like, yeah, I know horror's hot. I literally have I have two complete bookshelves of horror, and I have a bunch I had to put in like other spots, like compilations and stuff, because I have so much. Because I know people like that. Now, mind you, there's going to be stickers on these, and some of the boxes might be messed up. But every single disc, I check everything. Like I've explained before, everything in my store, I check every single disc individually, and I price it individually under what it sells on the internet for, to give everybody a good deal. And I don't want to screw myself. I don't want to screw other people. But my whole thing is like my store also is not about money. Sure, I like money. Sure, I'm doing it for money. But I also enjoy it, and I want people to enjoy my store. And that's why I don't sell online. And that's why I check every disc. And that's why I try to get a little bit of everything, even stuff I wouldn't watch myself probably. I still get it because I know people like it. I have a list at my store, I have a piece of paper in the front of my store, where everybody can write their name and how to reach them, and they write what movie they're looking for. And I try to find that movie. And even if I'm out and the movie costs more than what I'd pay for it, I'll get it for them and probably sell it to them at cost. I had to get a copy of Air Bud for a guy, and oh my god, that was so hard to find. I didn't know there was 8 different Air Buds. There's like Air Buddies. There's fucking they're in space at one point and all this. But I wound up finding him Air Bud, and I even got it resurfaced for him because the only copy I found was pretty fucked up. But it looks great now. But and I'll hold stuff for like 2 weeks, maybe like 3 weeks if I know the person's definitely coming in, and it's like a customer I know. I've only been open for a month, so 4 weekends. This will be my fifth weekend next weekend. But like I said, I didn't pick through any of this. Like I didn't add stuff and pull stuff back. This is exactly what I got in the past 2 weeks, and I'm just gonna explain a little bit why I got it. And this is the stuff that'll be in the store. It's not in the store currently. I'm at my mom's house where I keep some of the stuff at my house, some of the stuff at my mom's house because I have so much stuff, and I process it wherever I'm at. So yeah, Pretty Woman. Who hasn't seen Pretty Woman? If you're my age, I'm 44. Of course, you saw Pretty Woman. Everybody likes Pretty Woman, or like a lot of women like Pretty Woman, especially older women liked Pretty Woman. I'm not a big fan of hookers personally, so I'm, I'm not. The concept's kind of weird, but it's kind of weird because they can like get away with some of this shit in Hollywood movies and make it cute and everything, and it's literally like a story about a fucking guy that hires a hooker and then fixes her up. Sorry, I had a phone call. I had to cut it short. So like, yeah, so I grabbed Pretty Woman because I know there's people that like it. This one, I can't say that I've seen it. Um, I don't know. I would read the back, I guess, to figure out if it was about the real Black Dahlia chick. What's Scarlett Johansson in it, which is literally my favorite actress as far as looks are concerned. She's a good actress, but I mean I could look at her all day to be honest with you. So I'll watch anything she's in. I did try to watch the one where she gets naked in it. I wasn't just watching it for that, but it's like I can't remember what it was about, but it was like she was like doing something to truckers, but I really couldn't make it through it. Years ago, I would watch every movie, even if it was crappy, to make it through it. But I know I'm gonna not make friends with this one. But I watched. So I was over some guy's house. I was probably 20 or so, and like I said, I was like one of those people. I had to watch the whole movie, even if it sucked, just to see if the ending was good or something. And he had me watch Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. Now I like Johnny Depp's one of my favorite actors, always has been to this day. Um, and I actually read a lot about Hunter S. Thompson even when I was before I was 20, and I knew who he was. I watched some whole like interview with him about when he hung with the Hell's Angels and stuff. So I was familiar with all the content. And it was good actors and stuff like that. But I just didn't like the movie. I'm not really personally into like movies that like glorify drugs and like are kind of weird and stuff. It's not really my thing. Let's put it that way. But that was the first movie. After I watched it, I was like, I wish I would have left this house an hour earlier and just saved my time and done something else. So I will give movies maybe 30 minutes to get into something because I know that's usually about how long the first act is. I've written screenplays myself before. And television shows and stuff like that. Nothing came of it. I didn't really pitch it too much, but I do know how a format works. And this is another reason I can't watch superhero movies much. I don't care for superhero movies, and I don't care for much for like Rockies and shit like that. I do think Sylvester Stallone's fucking talented as shit for writing Rocky. I understand why people like it. It's cool and everything, but the movies where the guy, it's just real obvious, and superhero movies are the worst to me. The guy, has the origin story or whatever. He's like getting into whatever he's getting in for 30 minutes. And then it's 30 minutes of him like struggling or her struggling with something. And then at the end, the bad guy or the whatever, the bad thing almost conquers them and it gets right to the edge. And then the hero wins. It just gets, especially with the superhero movies, to me, after a while, it got kind of old, and I couldn't really take it anymore. But I will say, one of my top 10 movies in the past 5 years was the new Spider-Man. But that's because I absolutely love the Tobey Maguire Spider-Mans, and I don't mind the Andrew Garfield Spider-Mans either. I have worked with. I've been within 5 feet of Martin Sheen while he was working, and like I tell people all the time, I've seen, I don't know, tons of big time actors like in person. Like I'm the one like standing right there watching. I'm on screen with them when it airs on television. I'm friends with some of them while we're on set for whatever amount of months or years I work on whatever show or movie or whatever. And I've seen Martin Sheen not even read his script. I think he goes over like his script when he was on West Wing like once, like just to get his like the attitude and understand what he's doing. Then he just keeps the a piece of paper in his pocket, in his shirt pocket. When he was playing the president, I guess he always had shirt pockets, and he just pulls out this piece of paper before every scene, and you can see him reading it, and then he just nails it. And you're like somebody like me, I'm an actor. I was an actor. I'd just be like, oh my god. I mean, like it would be perfect. Like there would be really nothing wrong with it. You could pick it apart and say, it could have been better. Because it's Martin Sheen. He could have went really good, but it's always great to me. It's better than a lot of people that study their lines for weeks or whatever. But anyway, when you've seen people act that close and stuff like that, you do have a different opinion. So sometimes when people give me opinions about movies, I kind of scoff it off to a certain degree. I am a bit of an asshole when it comes to some things. When I believe I know more about something than somebody, but when you've acted within 5 feet of Martin Sheen, you're going to get a different perspective on the whole thing. And I've talked about this before to multiple people. When you're on a movie set and you're watching people act, it's almost all the time, it's always really bad in person. It's not that great. Even some of the good actors I've seen, it's not that great, and I'm not that impressed. but by the time the turd gets polished and goes through all the post production stuff, and they fix the sound, and you don't realize like certain TV shows and stuff like that, they use lenses. They not even if it's digital or whatever, when they're filming it, they still use lenses, and then they fix it up in post on the computer as well by adjusting things. So all that stuff polishes a turd pretty good. Independent movies, I think that's why you see some of the badder acting, the worst acting, that you'll ever see in some independent movies, because it's really obvious. Plus, like I said before, too, I've talked about this, and not to be cocky or anything, but I've had people that won't put me in their independent films, or wouldn't put me in their independent films, because they told me that I was too good of an actor, and I'll make the people that can't act look bad. But I've watched a ton of independent movies, and if there's one person that can act really good and everybody else sucks, I think it's better than if all of them suck. So I never understood that. But Risky Business, not a big fan. I really never really liked Tom Cruise much. I never got the appeal. But I do like Minority Report a lot, and I'm sure there's a few others I really like with him in it a lot. I think Minority Report's a really underrated movie, but people like this. So, like I'm saying, I pick up stuff people like, and like I said, I go through everything if I get it. If I'm individually getting stuff for people, like I'll go through it and make sure the disc looks like it was it was never really touched and was brand new. So, and sometimes I get sealed stuff. So let's go through some more. And Jack Frost. I mean, who doesn't like a movie about their dad passing away and then he turns into Frosty the Snowman? So who's that chick in it? What is she from? I can't picture what she's from. Something I'm getting in my head. That's why I love IMDb. When I was younger, Kelly Preston. Okay, it's what's his name? John Travolta's wife. But anyway, cool movie. And who doesn't love Michael Keaton? I think Michael Keaton is one of the most underrated actors in Hollywood. That's just my opinion. If you don't believe me, I would say go watch Multiplicity. And I just watched it the other day, and I've probably watched it like once every 5 years since it's been out, maybe more. Multiplicity, if you haven't seen it, it's a movie. I think it's from the early 90s. And he basically, he finds this doctor, and the doctor says he wants to clone him so he can get more work done because he doesn't have time to spend with his family. And they make a clone of him. And then the clone goes to work, and he gets to stay home, but nobody in his family or anything like that knows that he has a clone. Nobody knows. It says in the doctor and the clone's secret. And then the clone gets and goes and makes a clone. And all the clones, they're like a VHS copy. Like you keep copying it, it gets less and less. It gets to the point where one of them is like basically a little mental. He has some mental retardation, but he's hilarious. But he plays every one. Like one's real masculine, one's real feminine. I don't want to ruin the movie, but he plays every single one of his clones. And it's some brilliant acting. I mean, and he's acting against, maybe a person standing there, but he's not acting against himself. And when I watch it, I'm always amazed by that. Okay, so we got Chasing Amy. Now I've picked up the Criterion Collection. I think this is what I'm going to throw on tonight while I'm processing more stuff. And everybody knows that watches my videos or is on my Instagram. I'm obsessed with Kevin Smith and the crew, and I'm actually like acquaintances with some of them. But yeah, this movie is one of my favorite movies. But a lot of Kevin Smiths are. But the ending was always weird to me. I thought the ending was crazy, but some of the stuff in it was, I thought, brilliant. Now there is a scene in here where he's given that speech about how I hope I'm not ruining this for anybody. If you've never seen it, just skip this part, I guess. I don't like to give spoilers, but it probably will be some in here. But when he gives that speech to her, because she's gay, and he tells her that he likes her more than a friend. And I really love that monologue. I actually remembered that monologue. I remembered two monologues for auditioning, and one was Marlon Brando's monologue at the end of Apocalypse Now, and the other one was his Ben Affleck's little speech he gives to her in the movie when he's telling her You know, he knows she's gay, but he loves her more than a friend, and wanted to take it to another level. When I read the Marlon Brando one, I did it way different than Marlon Brando, and that's what I liked about it. I thought his monologue was good, but mine just sounded so much different from his in Apocalypse Now, and that's why I think I chose it and really like went with it when I was doing auditions. But I like this one too. It was my other as a good speech, and I love the speech Jay gives in there when he says there's many bitches with different faces. It's pretty funny. You know, you just got to think of who the character is, and not get offended by everything people say in movies, their characters. But you always know somebody like one of these characters. And one thing I will say about Kevin Smith, and I'm not going to go on and on about Chasing Amy, how much I love it and everything, but I'm going to watch it with the commentary, which you can't do if you wind up getting it off the internet or a streaming service. Man, I don't know how many commentaries are on here, who's on the commentary, but I'm sure I'll enjoy it. And it's always, Criterion's always good. But the one thing I'll give Kevin Smith, he reminds me of, he's a fan of John Hughes, and I read all the comic books, and the comic books had more of John Hughes references. The movies have a few John Hughes references, but the comic books that came out before some of the movies, he always has characters from John Hughes movies in it and stuff, and they talk about John Hughes movies. So he was a big fan of John Hughes, and if you don't know who John Hughes is, you're talking Pretty in Pink, Breakfast Club, 16 Candles, even Home Alone, for Christ's sakes. But I think, in my opinion, watching all the movies I've watched in my life, John Hughes, he writes teenagers so well, but more importantly, every character in a John Hughes movie, you know them. And I'm not saying you know somebody like in real life, but he does so much good character development within his movies that you know what the characters are all about. And you're talking, you're watching a movie for an hour and a half, and how many minutes do they spend on each character in a John Hughes movie, or in any movie? How many minutes do they spend out of the 130 on each character? But you know what the character's whole personality is somehow. And Kevin Smith does this with adults really well, whereas I think John Hughes did it with adults and teens, but Kevin Smith does it really good with adults. Like, every character you look at in each one of his movies, even if it's the same person in one of his movies and then the same person in another's movie. I think the only ones that really cross over a lot is them two, Jay and Silent Bob. But sometimes Ben Affleck will be in like Jersey Girl or something like that, and Jason Lee will be in Dogma or whatever. But there'll be different characters. We always know what the characters are all about. You always feel like them. Like I feel like Kevin Smith movies and John Hughes movies, for me, I've known people for 10 years. I still don't really get what they're all about, but Banky, I know his whole thing, you know what I mean? And in Mallrats, he's a different character too. They're similar because he'll use them. I think Kevin Smith too, he if you pay attention to Kevin Smith movies, it always made me kind of jealous because I don't have any friends, but I did have a best friend when I was younger, and we really liked Silent Bob and Jay, and this was like in the 90s. I stopped being friends with him like 98, but we really like Silent Bob and Jay. But if you watch Kevin Smith movies, he always has the guy and his best friend. It always makes me feel good and jealous a little bit. But Silent Bob and Jay are best friends. Banky and Holden are best friends. Dante and Randall are best friends. I mean, you watch his movies, like he's always got these duos that are best friends, and it'll be multiple duos that are best friends within the movies. And I think that's an interesting thing. But I think he wrote this, if I understand correctly, he was dating Joey Lauren Adams when he was doing Mallrats, because he casted her in Mallrats. He was dating her, and he couldn't deal with her past sex life and stuff in real life. So he wrote this movie as a little thing to her, and then he casted her, where she said showed maturity for him and stuff. But yeah, if you're a guy, you've been there before. But man, finger cuffs. Anyway, this movie my parents were they got caught up in that disc thing. I forget what people list them as laser discs, but they're not laser discs. They're actually they came out in like 84 or something like that. You probably know what I'm talking about if you follow my channel, because you probably know more about it than I do, to be honest. But they were like these big they're the size of a laser disc, but they were like a cartridge that you put in, and a lot of people, like my parents, bought it, and it was kind of like Betamax. It just went away, but we had this. This was one of the movies we bought, and it's a pretty cool movie. It's Dan Aykroyd and Chevy Chase, and they're always good together. I mean, you can't go wrong with that. But the main reason I bought it was for this Nothing But Trouble. I know a lot of people like this movie, Nothing But Trouble. I actually saw it in the theater, and it was one of my least favorite movies I ever saw in the theater. But I'm not big on theaters. I don't like watching movies with people I don't know. That's kind of my thing. I like the big screen. I get all that. That's awesome to me. But I don't like watching movies with people I don't know. It's kind of weird. They laugh at weird parts sometimes. And the thing that bugs me the most about when I go to the theater, especially if I see a comedy, everybody in the theater, we have seen the trailer 50 times over. So to me, when I watch the movie, when the trailer parts come on that were funny, I don't, I already know the joke. It's not a big deal. But these people that have seen the trailer 50 times laugh at that part, and it really annoys me. And I've had some people ruin movies so bad. Some hipsters at a re-showing of The Thing. They ruined it so bad, my cousin had to stand up and tell him to shut up and stop laughing at stuff that wasn't funny so we could enjoy the movie. So I don't like movies in the movie theater. I like the screen. If it had my own screen and everything, I'd do it. Or if they promised everybody would leave, cool, But seeing movies with other people I don't know does not seem like a fun thing. I don't know how anybody enjoys it, to be honest with you. But anyway, I saw this in the movie theater. I'm not a fan. I don't know. Some movies I wasn't a fan of when I watched it back in the day when it came out. I wind up being a fan if I rewatch it because I think there's so much shit that's been put out. And by shit I mean like bad movies that have been put out in the past, I'd say 10, 15 years. There's so many bad movies that have been put out that you go revisit. Even I revisit some 90s movies or some early 2000s movies, and I didn't like them when I watched them, or I didn't like them a lot, and I wound up liking them a lot because everything sucks so bad. But a lot of people like this movie, and I understand it's kind of weird, but maybe you gotta like that kind of weird shit. It was kind of like Matinee with John Goodman. It was like a weird movie, like one of those things like just certain people really are attracted to it. But the one thing I do like about that movie is it's Tupac's first movie. And if you know anything about Tupac would always say in interviews that he was an actor first and a musician second, not the other way around. And he also said that all of his albums that he put out was, because people would say he was phony and, all this kind of shit. And I'm sure there was some aspect of making money and making something out of nothing. But he also, when he was putting those albums together, if he didn't do what he was talking about in real life, it's because he looked at his albums like a movie. So you're supposed to listen to him from the first song to the end and have some kind of experience like you do in a movie and go through emotions and stuff. So I think there's an aspect about Tupac people don't get. And Tupac is one of my top 5 actors. A lot of people think that's weird. I never liked his music when I was younger. I've had more Tupac shirts than I've ever had any other kind of shirt. And people always go, "Oh man, you love Tupac." And I'm like, no, he's my favorite actor. I don't really listen to his music. But it's one of those things, in retrospect, I listen to a lot of Tupac now. I have in the past like 10 years. And I like remixes where they like mix it with old 80s songs. But I actually, in retrospect, Tupac's really good because everything sucked for all the rap in the past 20 years. I'm not a fan of, or 25 years really. So he actually winds up being good in But this, maybe I'll revisit this and watch it. But point being, you never see this. I don't know what it goes for. I just get stuff. I don't care if it goes for $3. If I'm going to put it in, I have some stuff that's $1, but it's mint and it's good stuff. It's not like, 16 copies of Harry Potter and, 16 copies of Pirates in the Caribbean and, 16 copies of each Matrix. And that's what I tell people. Sometimes people will come over my table or my store rather, and they'll say, why is this so much? And it's only like $4 or $5 or something. And I'll be like, well, if you can go find it at a thrift store or wherever they sell DVDs at Walmart or whatever, then go, have fun. And I don't mean ignorant. I'm just saying like, you can go to like thrift stores and you might find 1 or 2 things that are good, but I try to have a little bit of everything and like stuff people don't know about. And I do try to recommend stuff sometimes. So then I got Zoolander. Now, Zoolander makes me laugh. I don't know how many times I've watched it. It has to be around 50. It's like one of those guilty pleasures. But I think Owen Wilson's absolutely hilarious. I don't know. I like him in everything. I just like his whole personality. Like, I feel like he's one of those people that I've never met, but I feel like if I met him, I would never want to stop hanging with him. And it's really sad because I think he's one of the funniest people with an original, funny kind of personality about him that shines through in each character he does. And even when he's serious, he's pretty good. And I think it's sad, he tried to commit suicide not 10 years ago or so, and it just goes to show you could have all the money in the world. And I think he's a cool looking guy, and he's got the crooked nose, which almost makes him kind of unique. It gives him some kind of uniqueness about him. And he's got all this money. He could probably get any girl he wanted. He's funny as shit. You know what I mean? And he still, at some point in his life, was ready to commit suicide. Seriously, it just goes to show you. But I think he's hilarious, and I like this movie. I think it's funny. I'm the biggest fan of Zoolander 2, but it was all right. This I haven't seen since it came out. I don't remember if I liked it or not. I want to say it was kind of like boring to me when I was a kid. But I never see this. I don't remember once in all the places. I go places like you wouldn't believe. I get collections like you wouldn't believe. People come in with stuff I even pass on sometimes, and I don't think I've ever seen this. But like I said, I don't go on the internet right away, and I'm not one of the people that sit in the stores and ding every goddamn thing to see if it's worth money, whether I should buy it or not. My store's really not about that. My store is about having a little bit of everything. I want to remind people of like some of the stores used to go in back of the day, and there's some stores that are around, like I said, and they'll have nothing but like horror or like the popular movies, and you'll have real hard time. And a lot of people will blow out or throw away or like give away to write off taxes all the movies that don't go for money. And I think then you're a customer and you go in there and you're looking for something, odd that might not be worth, but $1 or two. And they're going to be like, well, I don't have that. I don't know where you're going to get it. And then they'll have to go on Amazon or something. It kind of takes the fun out of it, if you ask me. I like having things in my hand. Like I said, I told people before, I don't buy off Amazon. The only time I do is when it's like something odd or something for the store I need. Like if I need something that I can't find, and it's never media related or anything like that. I don't know the last time I bought anything off the internet that was like a movie or something. The Professional, that was one of my favorite movies when it came out. I think this is just an amazing movie all the way around. I do have a little bit of a problem once I got older and realized or found out there was actually more to this movie that involved them two, and I just try to put that out of my mind when I'm watching it, because I always look at I'm so innocent inside my brain sometimes when I think about things. I always looked at it like she didn't have a parent and he was like being the father type figure, but I'm not sure I'm 100% on this, but somebody told me they had read something, or they were really into the movie and they said there was more between them two, which we're not even going to touch anymore than just saying that. But if we put that out of our mind, it's a great movie, but I wish I didn't know that. And I love Danny Aiello. I think he's always been, he always plays that same character, but that's what character actors are for. Some people just play the same character, in a sense, like Tom Atkins from is in a lot of movies. He always plays a cop. I didn't realize he was in Lethal Weapon I was watching the other day. And a lot of people who watch horror movies know who Tom Atkins is, but he's in Striking Distance. He plays a cop with Bruce Willis. He's in a lot of big movies, but he's also in a lot of indies movies or like cult movies. And Gary Oldman, for years, he was my favorite actor. This was years and years ago. And now he's like a thing. Like, people know he's a good actor. It's kind of like a thing. And I'm not saying I'm like ahead. I always am ahead of the curve a little bit, but he's just a good actor. And if you know anything about acting, you'd just be like, wow. I mean, I liked him when he was in Sid and Nancy, and I think I watched that in whenever it came out in the mid '80s. I think it might have came out in the early '80s, but I watched it in the '80s, and I liked him as Sid Vicious. Some people, when they play a character, like he played Sid Vicious so well, it's hard to look at Sid Vicious and think Sid Vicious is Sid Vicious. There's a couple other people like that, like La Bamba. Every time I see Richie Valens for real, like on something I get in, it's like a CD of Richie Valens or something. I'm like, that's not him. Lou Diamond Phillips is him. That's what he looks like. And that's how good actors are sometimes. Martin Landau, if you ever see Ed Wood, Martin Landau plays Bela Lugosi, and somebody put the scenes of him as Bela Lugosi and Bela Lugosi, as himself, the scenes that it was taken from the movie Ed Wood with Johnny Depp, and like I told somebody, I said Martin Landau's more Bela Lugosi than Bela Lugosi is Bela Lugosi. So Gary Oldman for Sid Vicious did that to me. For years. So I always knew he was a good actor. And I think on the internet now they'll put pictures of him and all of his different characters, like each character, like the vampire he played. I think that's Interview with the Vampire or something. I don't like Interview with the Vampire, but I think he's in that. He's in some movie where he plays a vampire, and then he's everything else. He's all these different characters. And True Romance, that's when I knew that he was one of my favorite actors, because when that came out, I had to look up who the white guy was that was a like a wigger or whatever you want to call it, yo boy with the dreadlocks and all, and I found that was Gary Oldman. I was like, holy shit, man, he is a fucking amazing, because I love him in True Romance if you've never seen him, but he's so good. I got a friend, or I would like probably one of the people I'd call a friend, but we don't talk much. But when we do talk, we talk a lot. But he's really like in the movies, like he's a movie buff, and he actually drugged me out of the house to see one of the new Batmans 10 or so years ago, and he drugged me to the cheap movie, which I like because not a lot of people will go sometimes, and it wasn't a lot of people in the theater. I was pretty excited about that. Got to actually watch a movie without a lot of people in the theater, and Gary Oldman plays Commissioner Gordon. And my friends, like I say, he's pretty much a movie buff. He owns a lot of movies. He watches movies. He knows a lot about movies. Always recommends stuff, and we talk about stuff and all kinds of stuff. And I swear to God on my life, may God strike me dead, he is sitting next to me, and he turns to me while Commissioner Gordon just got done a scene, and he goes, "You know who would make a really good Commissioner Gordon?" And I go, "Who?" He goes, "Gary Oldman would make." I said, "That is fucking Gary Oldman." I'm not even joking. That's a true story. So anyway, it's a pretty cool movie, and I know people like that. You don't do Caddyshack. Also not a fan. That is one of those movies that everybody likes. That I don't know. It's just one of those movies like Airplane, or one of those that just everybody universally likes. But you don't see it too often. I'm not the biggest fan. I love Bill Murray, but I don't. He's kind of goofy in this. Like in the goofiest. He's almost like he's, mentally, whatever. In this. I don't know. I just never really got this. I watched it a lot. I like Chevy Chase. I like just about all these. I love Rodney Dangerfield. Like he's literally one of the funniest people I think ever lived. But yeah, I don't know. I'm not a fan of Caddyshack, but you'd hardly ever see it. And this was like super duper mint. Like it looks like somebody never did anything with it. It's like shiny as can be. Look at this. These are all like shiny as can be. Like brand new. So like I said, that was that's a factor too. But you hardly ever see that anymore. And then this, like I said, some of these I'm going to have to put in new sleeves, and I'm going to take stickers off, and everything that has like a little bit of like wrinkles to the sleeve or whatever, I put new cases on it or whatever. This movie I haven't seen in years since it came out, but they do show this girl's breast in there, so if you enjoy breast in movies, that's pretty good. But it's not really about that. It's about this guy who can wind up stopping time, and it's like I think it would be considered like an independent movie. It's not a big budget movie, but I thought it was really good when I watched it. I have to rewatch it again. Sometimes I'll change my mind on movies, but I remember watching this. I won a bunch of film festivals and shit. But this was one of the ones I went up watching, and I was like, wow. And usually I don't listen to what other people say. Like if somebody says something's good or bad, I really don't care. It doesn't really affect it much. There are certain things they'll know about me, and they'll say, well, yeah, I know you don't like that thing about things, so you might not like this. That might affect me. But somebody saying something's good or bad, I think everybody's an individual, and there'll always be an opinion type thing. I used to watch Riff Tracks. I still do sometimes. If you don't know what that is, it's the Mystery Science Theater guys wind up, talking through the whole movie, making fun of it and stuff. And they do bad movies and they do good movies when they do Riff Tracks. It's not kind of like Mystery Science Theater. They just did, kind of bad movies to riff on, but they'll do good movies and bad movies, the Riff Tracks guys, which are the same guys. But I watched Glitter. It was a Mariah Carey movie, won like a whole bunch of Razzie Awards, which is like You're the Worst Movie Awards. And I watched Crossroads with Britney Spears, and that's supposed to be one of the worst movies ever made as well. and they were riff tracks. So yeah, they're funny. Like it's funny that he's making fun of them the whole time. And they're not the greatest movies in the world, but both of them weren't that bad of movies. Like Crossroads had like a twist at the end of it, and it was just I don't really understand how people say it was so bad. But it's like House of Wax. I was talking to some guy. I found them House of Wax. He wanted the new one with Paris Hilton. And I like the new House of Wax. Love the old Vincent Price one, but I like the new House of Wax. It's got some horrible I don't know if it would be 90s or early 2000 kind of cliches, like the black guy's kind of like really cliche with the white girlfriend. Like everybody's met that guy before, and it's kind of funny to me. And then the girl when she gets her fingers chopped off, every time I see that, I'm always thinking like, oh man, even if she survives, she's got to live without those fingers, and that's gotta hurt, you know. And it's not bad acting or anything, but my point was everybody ragged on Paris Hilton. Was like, oh my god, Paris Hilton, but she was great in it. Like I said, I've seen bad acting, I've seen good acting. She was great in that. Go watch it again. There's nothing wrong with Paris Hilton's performance whatsoever. Just because she's Paris Hilton, people are gonna hate on it. So that's kind of my point. You gotta make your own opinion about stuff. But I remember this being really good, and this is one of the ones I'll get. And I don't really have many movies myself because I have a store, so I can just take one home. But this is one of the ones I might actually watch before I put it in the store or pull it out, for a day or whatever. This, I remember watching, but I can't remember if I liked it. I can't remember if I liked it or not. But for some reason, every time I watch one of these old, and they're not really old. It makes me feel old saying old, but it's from 2002. So yeah, there's some people that come in my store. My son is born in 2004, so I guess this is old. He's 17, so yeah. But I don't want to call this old, but for some reason, some of the mid to late 90s horror movies, like the mainstream ones and the early 2000 ones, I wind up liking when I would go back and watch them. So I got this kind of like that. And like I said, I don't see it often, but this will go in the store. I don't know if anybody's seen this, but I don't remember if I liked it or not, but I had a biggest crush on Elijah Dushku for years. And, but yeah. So I got this. I've never seen this, but it's got Woody Harrelson and Ron Perlman in it and stuff. Does that say Demi Moore's in it? Yeah, what the hell is this? Like, what is... I don't know. I'm sure people probably know what it is. I'm not that hip. My kids took so many years to tell me who Lady Gaga was. But anyway, yeah, this is a Blu-ray and it was sealed. So I was like... And it's got all these people in it. It can't be that bad. The only thing I'll say is I know a lot of people were into independent movies. But, I think there's so many, because now everybody can make a movie, but, I would say since, 2005 to me, there were so many people making, shitty movies, shitty independent movies, that I don't even watch many independent movies anymore, because everybody can make a movie, and a lot of them suck, really bad. You have to watch, 50 independent movies just to find one good one anymore. And my point with that was a lot, and then the covers, not this one. I'm using this as just a cover, but this one I actually watched the other day, and we'll put it to the side because I'll tell you. But I watched this the other day, and it's got, I think this is the one with Jason Eccles or whatever from what the hell is it called? Supernatural, which that show's so, my ex-girlfriend subjected me to that, and it was so annoying. But yeah, this one was funny in a bad way, in retrospect. It was retrospect, Hollywood funny, bad. But it had some cool death scenes and stuff in it. And then I didn't watch it in 3D, but it's got these glasses, so I wish I would have watched it in 3D. I didn't have the 3D version. I think this is the movie I watched. Yeah, this is it. Yeah, this is it. But I didn't know it was in 3D. I didn't watch the 3D version. I'm kind of pissed now. Maybe it would have been way cooler. But it wasn't horrible. It was kind of bad good. Hollywood bad good. But I got tired of these independent movies that can make these independent movies for the past since 2005. They can make these really cool looking covers and you'll get these independent horror movies, especially more than anything. You'll get these independent movies with these really cool. I'm not saying this is a great cover. I'm just saying using it as an example because it's a horror movie. But you'll get these horror movies that are made by independent companies or like some independent film crew or whatever, and it'll have these really cool looking graphics and it'll sound cool in a way, but you'll watch it and you'll be like, oh my god, this is fucking horrible. I know people were into that, but I'm sorry, I don't think that's good filmmaking at all. I think it's really just I don't know, I'm annoyed by it, to be honest with you. I've watched a few recently and they're just so bad, like, and they're just getting worse. That's why I can't stand all that new whatever horror movies that come out that are independent. I have a real hard time watching newer horror movies because usually they suck so bad it's not even funny. And then even Hollywood jumped onto that, and they, like Snakes on a Plane, and I've never seen it. I don't want to see it. Sharknado, like movies in the 80s that are from the 80s, 70s and 80s, I'd say, that were bad. The people were really trying, and they were filming real film and stuff. And some of them, I guess, had used video camcorders in the late 80s. But those movies, the people tried, and when it's bad, it's funny because they're trying so hard, and that's where the comedy comes from. But when somebody intentionally tries to make a bad movie or a movie that's good and it winds up being bad, I don't think that's the same thing. I don't find it funny. I don't find it amusing. I just find it like cringy and embarrassing. And even Hollywood started doing, like I said, with Snakes on a Plane and Sharknado. You don't make a movie to be intentionally bad. The best thing about it is when it's bad and it's not trying to be. I mean, it can be campy, but, I don't know. I got this. This was in 3D and all the discs are good. And I know, like, there's a million copies of Harry Potter all the time, but you can get theirs anywhere. But it's in 3D. I don't even know what a 3D Blu-ray is. That's how out of date I am. This was like fucking $30 whenever it came out. But yeah, I just picked this up. I don't remember what I paid for it, but I'm not going to put a lot on it. Trust me, it'll be, like, I don't know what it'll be. I have to look it up, but it won't be that expensive. It surely won't be what eBay sells it for. But yeah, I thought that was kind of cool. It was cheap. All right, I'm going to take a break. I'll get back into this stuff. It's going to be a long video. Okay, I had to take a break for a minute. This was Mint. I know people do buy seasons still. You'd be surprised. And people actually wind up buying seasons of stuff that's on streaming. Possibly for the extras and possibly because they're afraid it's going to go away from streaming. There's that thing when I used to watch Netflix myself. It's horrible. Like I said before, I rarely find anything on Netflix or anything that I like. I scroll for so long it's not even funny to find something. But even on Netflix, I remember you'd go on the internet, or I'd go on the internet, and it would say leaving now, like stuff that's going away this month and stuff that's coming next month. So they get rid of stuff, and then sometimes they'll have TV shows on some of these streaming things, and you'll click on it and be like, oh, first season. Like, I want to watch the fucking first season, and that's it. Like, I've already seen the first season. I'm trying to see the new season, or you gotta wait. But anyway, I've heard good things about this. I have never watched it. I have no opinion on this, but people come in and they buy seasons of stuff a lot. So I got a pretty decent season section of stuff. Who doesn't like European Vacation? Is this the one where they go to Europe? No, this is not the one where they go to Europe. This is the first one where they go to Wally World. This one's great. All of them great. I like all of them, to be honest with you. It's always weird how they change Rusty, though. They change Rusty and they change Audrey or whatever her name is. I think that's her name. But yeah, this one has Anthony Michael Hall in it, who I met. He's a really great guy. And I like the one with is it European with the Rusty that has the dream where he's dancing with the girls. I made a video with myself superimposed on his face. It was really funny, where Rusty has his dream and that song's on. But I like all these. I think they're great. I think these are the best thing Chevy Chase ever did, in my opinion. I think he's at his peak when he's in these. I hate seeing older Chevy Chase for some reason. Older Chevy Chase is never as funny to me as Fletch Chevy Chase and like the older Chevy Chase. I don't know how to explain it. 80s and early 90s Chevy Chase was my favorite. Even when he's in like Dirty Work, which is like in the mid '90s, the Artie Lang and Norm Macdonald movie. I don't think he's as funny. I don't know why. It's something weird about that. It's just like a personal thing. But who doesn't like this? This is always great to watch again, and it definitely, if you're into that '80s vibe, I think this captures some serious '80s fucking vibes for sure. This I just rewatched the other day. I love Hostel Part 1. I met the really hot girl from it. Oh my gosh, she was like one of the most beautiful women I've ever seen in my life. And I've been on Hollywood sets and seen a lot of Hollywood actresses. She was a knockout. The one from the first one, I forget, it was like Barbara and that just some weird shit. But anyway, she was really hot. And I like Part 1 a lot. And I remember watching Part 1 when it first came out and Eli Roth wasn't a real big deal. And I was like, wow, okay. That was good. Like I wasn't expecting all that, you know. And this one's good, and it shows that weird looking girl's boobs. She's like hanging upside down, and she gets that really kind of, was she in the back? She's not on the back. That funny looking chick. She's like just a weird looking person. But yeah, I watched this one the other day and actually enjoy this one too. I actually enjoy Hostel Part 3, and I dated a girl that loved Eli Roth and was obsessed with him. And she, when we first met, we almost broke up because I was telling her how cheesy Cabin Fever was. And I'll just break down Cabin Fever in a nutshell. When the guy at the beginning of the movie, he goes out in the woods and he like kills a random person by accident, he never even thinks twice about it. He just kills this random person and he comes back to the camp, and it's just like, and that movie is just so shitty. Whatever the hell it's called, Cabin Fever. To me, I don't like it. But I thought Hostel Part 1 was really good. Hostel Part 2 is really good. And I liked Hostel Part 3, and the girl got mad. She was like, how can you like Hostel Part 3? I was like, it was good. If I remember correctly, they're like selling them behind some glass in that one. And I was like, oh, that's really fucking fucked up, you know? But I like these. I really do. That one's a weird one, too. This, I want to say I watched this in the 90s when I was in my teens because I heard so many things about it. And I like Joe Pesci and Robert De Niro together. I was a big fan of Goodfellas. So somebody was like, oh man, have you ever seen Raging Bull? And I was like, you know, I know of it, but I've never watched it. And I remember I really liked it. And I like the cinematography and stuff like that, if I remember correctly. And I'm just going to brush on this real quick. When I worked in movies, you know, the cinematographer, I don't even think they even put the fucking cinematographer on the back. I mean, it just makes me so mad. Look at this. Okay, they got the director of photography on the back, okay. But look at the cinematographer, in my opinion, like at the beginning of a movie, it should be like the writer, the director, and the cinematographer. The producer shouldn't even be till the end, I think, in my opinion. And it even puts produced before. Now, look, let me just explain this. Most people don't know this, even people that are heavy in the movies. But, you know, I worked in Hollywood for 10 years. A producer, 9 times out of 10, is just somebody that gives money. That's all they do. They'll give money. That's it. So you put their name right here, and they're always like in the front credits. They just gave the money. I think they're a real big deal. I mean, they're a big deal because it's cool that they gave them money to make good movies, but I don't think they're as big a deal as the director of photography, the guy that actually holds the fucking camera. And it's usually, and I've been on a lot of movies, and I will say, sometimes the director's involved with the direction of the camera. Sometimes they're not involved at all. Sometimes they just go, hey, get us from A to B. And they talk to the cinematographer, and the cinematographer figures out a neat way to get from A to B, or a way that looks better to get from A to B that's more appealing to the eye. But you're watching it through the cinematographer's eye. And if you ever seen Spike Lee's Do the Right Thing, that's my favorite cinematography in any movie. And it's a shame I still don't even know the guy's name. I've looked it up before, but I can't remember his name. And the reason I can't remember his name is because they don't even care about fucking cinematographers. And I'll say, like, yeah, okay, Steven Spielberg, Spike Lee maybe to a certain degree, and Tim Burton, and a couple other guys, John Carpenter, and a couple other guys. You'll see them with that little thing. It's like a just a glass eye lens that kind of recreates what you see through the camera, and you'll see them holding it and setting up the shot and figuring out where everybody should be and how you should get there, and the camera should move this way to make it more interesting, and the A-frame needs to be here, and all this kind of stuff. they'll actually have a big involvement in it, and yeah, they should get credit as well. But most directors just kind of, they're just directing everything. They're not really part of the camera movement to that degree that the director of photography, the cinematographer, is. But like I said, the producer just really gives money 9 times out of 10. On an independent film, sometimes a producer will be not somebody who gave money, but somebody who writes up all the schedules and keeps track of who was wearing what. And because they'll have a person on a movie, especially the big movie sets. I've had it on independent movie sets, but big movie sets are real anal about that. They take a Polaroid picture, even when Polaroids were obsolete. They take a Polaroid picture of everything you come with that day in case something happens to the footage. And one time I was on a TV show. I was on a TV show, and something happened to the footage, and we had to get called back, and they had to find all the clothes that we had on to recreate the scene. And they were really mad because I had a little bit of stubble in the original, and when I came back I had no stubble, so they're like talking about putting fake stubble on me and stuff. And then somebody said it wasn't a big deal, and it's actually one of my A-frames that got on television. Like, you can see me, you can hear me laugh. It's pretty funny. A lot of people came to the basketball court because maybe their sister was watching. I hope their sister was watching it. It was a spinoff of Dawson's Creek. I hope they weren't watching it. But anyway, yeah, so the sometimes the producer will keep track of all them people that do all that kind of stuff, and make sure they're doing their job. But yeah, it's weird. But yeah, go watch Do the Right Thing. It's my favorite cinematography, and if you watch it, it is just some of the most amazing shots and just some of the most beautiful cinematography you'll ever see in a movie. And it's weird because I worked with this one guy. He filmed the movie that I started in, Hamilton, not the musical stupid thing, but Hamilton 2006, I guess is what I'll call it. But he was the director of photography. He was the cinematographer, and his name was Jeremy Schuchner or something like that. I can't remember his last name. I mean, I know the guy, but his last name's hard to pronounce. But he made that Green Room movie that's kind of new, got a lot of praise. It's got Patrick Stewart in it, and that kid that Jeltsin kid or whatever, the guy, his car fucking smashed him between a tree. He was like in Star Trek. I think he's played like Scotty or something. He was getting kind of famous. He's the kid from Alpha Dog, which is a really good movie. And anybody says Justin Timberlake can't act, they're lying too. But anyway, he made that movie, and he was the director of photography, and the movie I made was really about scenery and stuff, and it was beautiful what he did with some of his still shots, just the shots where you just set shit up. He did some beautiful framing, I guess is what it would be. And go back and watch like a widescreen version of one of the like Cheech and Chong movies or something. And I remember, I watched Cheech and Chong movies so many times in my life, and then they started coming out with widescreens on VHS, where they, letterbox versions is what they used to call them, where the movie is the way you were meant to see it. When they do it square, especially on television, when they make a movie and put it on television, what they do is that when they square it, they're cutting off, this much of the movie, that much over there of the movie. So what they do is sometimes they'll cut it this much off and then cut this much off to have this frame make sense. And sometimes you'll see movies like moving, like scrolling like that a little bit. That's because they're moving the frame within the letterbox or within the rectangle. They're moving the square to get the best looking thing, but that's not the way it was intended to look. That's why people that are younger don't realize how great it is to have these flat widescreen televisions that really show you movies the way they're supposed to be. But I remember when Cheech and Chong first came out on widescreen or letterbox or whatever you call it, and instead of seeing it squared like I had my whole life, I saw it the way it was shown in the theater, with the extra ends. And if you watch the Cheech and Chong movies, I'm telling you, it's some of the best framing when they're like filming Cheech and Chong or like the car riding or whatever. It's beautiful. It's really simplistic and beautiful. I always am blown away about how old movies in the 30s, they went from staging, like being on stage and stage actors and stuff like that. They went from that to filming movies and figuring out where to put everybody, and what, if you try to film in a room or something, to catch the whole room, sometimes you'll have to be up in the corner of the ceiling, to catch it. But somehow people are so talented that they can figure out how to make you feel like you're in that room, without some crazy fish islands or whatever. And another thing that people don't know too is in movies, when lighting is really important. I've been on this, like I've worked 16-hour days on The Wire, HBO show, and I think in 16-hour days they might get 5 minutes of footage at best. 5 minutes worth of their hour-long show in one day, working 16 hours. And within those hours, I might work, even if I'm in the whole scene and everything, I might work 2 hours, okay, on average, an hour and a half, 2 hours. And that's not just filming, that's like getting everybody in place and all this stuff on set. The rest of the time you're just sitting around. But I will say, I've sat, I walk around and stuff like that, and I knew people, so I could walk around and be a little more intimate with the set than some people. But the lighting people will take hours. I think the lighting almost is probably the longest thing in general that it takes to set up. And usually they'll get somebody that looks like you to just stand in. So when you're a famous actor, you don't have to stand there and make sure the lighting's right on you. And what the lighting does in a movie is it creates the third dimension. That's what all lighting in movies are about. You want to see that this person's face is three-dimensional on a 2D object, on a 2D screen, and people don't realize that. That's mainly what lighting does. And then sometimes, like if you watch Creepshow or something like that, they have that like red light, which is really cool. And some of the scenes when like some of the horror's happening, they'll use different color lights where it kind of just changes. I guess they can do all that digital now, but I'll give you an example. If you watch, like say you watched a movie and it was somebody watching a movie on television and they were like, eating popcorn, watching television. Well, they're not really watching a television. What they're watching is they're watching 4 lights on like a track above them pointing at their face. And the light will be like a red light, a yellow light, a green light, and a white light, or something like that, something along those lines. And those lights will flash at different like this one will flash and this one will flash, but they'll all go back and forth. And that light that hits the person's face watching the TV, that's supposed to be watching the TV, when you see it and they flip back to them, to the television, back to them, when that light's hitting their face, it looks like the TV's hitting their face, but it's more dramatic than real life would be. But it looks good on film. So, lighting's really important, but they have these stand-in people. One time they had me audition or whatever, come down and try to stand in for the guy from Swim Fan. I don't know if you guys ever seen Swim Fan or Clock Stoppers, the black-haired guy, and he's like shorter than me, he's got black hair. Me and him just like stood next to each other and we're like, I don't know why they called you. Channing Tatum stand in looked kind of like him. You want to get somebody that's the same build so they can wear the same clothes and just stand there while the lighting gets fixed in the spots you're going to be. I did do that once. I actually got a wave. That's how I got in SAG. You have to get 3 waves. I don't know what you have to do to get in it now, but you have to be like an important person 3 different times, and that winds up being an important person that stands in. I don't know why, but so I got my last one standing in on some show called Hack that was filmed in. It was like an ABC show, whatever, had some famous people in it and stuff, but it wasn't real popular. But okay, so this movie, Very Bad Things, I've watched it twice. I think it's been years. But it's got a really cool plot. If you've never seen it, it's pretty funny. I think it might even tell you what happens on the back. But like I said, I might spoil some stuff, so you can skip it. But I think they bring like hookers over, if I remember correctly, and the hooker dies in the bathroom. I don't remember if she slips or something or what. And the whole time they're trying to figure out how to cover up the hooker dying. And I don't know who this guy is, but here you got Joe Favreau. You got Jeremy Piven. Christian Slater, who I like a lot. I love Christian Slater in almost everything he's in. And you got Daniel Stern, who's Wonder Years is my favorite television show. And when I was younger, I remember finding out that he did Fred Savage's voiceover as an adult. And it really fucked me up. Oh man, Home Alone guy's fucking... Fred Savage grows up to be Home Alone guy? But this was a pretty cool movie. I actually picked up 2 copies of that. This I saw in the movies. Is one of my favorite comedies. I die off this every time I fucking watch it. I love this movie, and it doesn't get a lot of praise at all, but I thought this was one of the better parody movies, it's like a scary movie kind of thing, where they parody all the stuff, like he's Ducky from Pretty in Pink, basically, and he's all the jocks. And the funny thing is, there was this movie that was out with, I think it was the James Van Der Beek movie, Varsity Blues, and the fat guy that plays the football player, the fat guy, the stupid fat guy. He actually is the stupid fat guy in the football movie on Varsity Blues. I met this guy. He was cool when I met him. He's in some vampire show now or something, but he was a really cool guy. And I can't remember the guy that he's making fun of, but it was this guy that was like in some of these '90s movies. It was really annoying black haired guy. I can picture his face, can't think of his name, but he does him perfect. And like the shit they make fun of is just he's like Seth Green and Can't Hardly Wait. She's like Jennifer Love Hewitt. Jennifer Love Huge Tits and Can't Hardly Wait, I think. So like they parody everybody, and they even get the guy to come back who played the principal in Breakfast Club, and they recreate that scene. But this is a fucking hilarious movie, and I think honestly Jamie Presley is probably one of the funnier. I don't find many females funny, but I think she's one of the funnier. And My Name Is Earl, I mean, she's fucking. I think she won awards for My Name Is Earl because she's so funny. But this is a funny ass movie, and this was mocking American Beauty, where the kid's like weird and artsy fartsy. But this one, if you've never seen it, it's hilarious. But you gotta had seen some of these '90s teen movies and the '80s teen movies to really understand all the characters. I actually watched Superhero movie the other day, and I was dying. I didn't know it was that funny, and it's not real old. It's got the Drake and Josh Drake Bell in it, and he plays like a superhero instead of Spider-Man. He's the dragonfly, and oh my god, it was fucking hilarious. I was dying. I'd never watched it. This guy actually plays Jim Carrey's character in Dumb and Dumber. I like Dumb and Dumber. A lot of people don't like that. I thought that was hilarious, but he actually plays the Jim Carrey character, which is crazy because he plays the handsome jock or whatever you want to call it. But I watched the auditions on the extras of Dumb and Dumber. I love the extras. I used to a lot. I used to watch a lot of them. But his auditions on there are really wild to see how he turns himself into Jim Carrey's character. Uncle Buck, if you've never seen that, it's a good family movie. And that's where Macaulay Culkin kind of got his start. And that's why he's in, that's why he's in, this is a John Hughes movie as well, but that's why he's in Home Alone. Home Alone wasn't supposed to be a big deal. It really wasn't supposed to be the box office smash it was. That's the only thing I found on Netflix that I really liked recently. They have this show on Netflix, and each show is like an hour long, and they tell you like the beginning process of a movie all the way to how it happened, and then how it was when it got released. The one about Die Hard was like about how Bruce Willis got a cast, and people were like, how's the guy that's like in a sitcom moonlighting gonna be an action star? And this one was it was talking about John Candy. I watched the Home Alone one, and it was talking about how he wasn't really going to do Home Alone because it wasn't a low budget movie, but it was like it wasn't supposed to be what it was. But John Candy wanted to be part of it just so he could help them out because he was a big star at the time. But if you find that show, I forget what it's called. It's really cool. I think I watched almost all of them. Some of them I just didn't like the movie, so I didn't see the reason. I know a guy who actually has this picture tattooed on his arm. That's how much some of the people like this movie. But I thought it's a good family movie, I think. That's just my opinion. This, when I was a kid, I thought it was hilarious. They got a remake with the girl from House Bunny and this Spanish guy. I haven't seen it. I really don't want to see it. This one was funny when I was a kid. When you go back and watch it, if you're from the 80s, it's a little dingy. It's like it really has that dingy 80s feeling to it. This guy was always funny. He's like a character actor. He always played like a buddy or an uncle or something. He was kind of funny. But yeah, this was a like when it came out, it was a good movie. And who doesn't like Kurt Russell? What happened to Goldie Hawn? I have no clue. One of my favorite movies of all time. I don't know if I've ever shared a picture of me and Channing Tatum, but I used to dress kind of like Ducky, I guess. I used to dress up all the time. And Channing Tatum's, I don't know if it was a pet name, I hope not, but no. His name for me, he didn't call me Christopher, he called me Ducky. And I'd show you guys the picture. If you follow my Instagram, I think it might be already on there. But yeah, he used to call me Ducky. I thought that was cool. I love this movie. And I still watch it this day. I actually just watched it last month. Years ago, I got a big screen projector in this one house I was living in, and this was the first movie I watched on the big screen projector in widescreen, and I really enjoyed it. I enjoy this every time I see it, and I hated Andrew McCarthy when I was a kid, because I watched this when it came out, and I was real little when this came out, because my brother's older. This came out in '86, so I watched this when I was 8, and I remember just hating this character, and I think some people that are fans of this movie know that, Ducky actually winds up with Molly Ringwald, but people are still to this day, and was back then, so fickle that they didn't like that them two got together and wanted her to get with this asshole. And if you watch it, he's a real fucking dick. I mean, like he says, "What do you want to go hang out with your friends and crawl under a rock?" He says that when he goes to pick her up. He says all kinds of fucked up shit throughout the movie. I mean, like I don't know whenever in the movie he's likable. He's never likable. He's always a dick and like a dork, like a dicky dork. I mean, Blaine is his name, is the name of a appliance system. But anyway, there's some memorable moments, and here's some great quotes. Annie Potts and the whole record store is fucking cool. Really captures some cool 80s shit in this. And Harry Dean Stanton playing her dad. I love Harry Dean Stanton a lot. He was in a lot of movies. But yeah, this is still holds up as a really good fucking movie. And I heard John Cryer talking the other day. People thought he was gay for a long time because he's so effeminate or something. I don't fucking know. But originally they get together. They screen test it with audience. Bunch of dumb, fickle bitches. I'm not allowed to say bitches, but you know what I mean. But, dumb, stupid teenager females, thought she should wind up with the dickhead. It's just like, when the girls like the dickhead guy instead of the cool guy that really likes him. And the girls didn't like it, so it tested bad. So then they called him back, and they had him wear a wig at the end, and then he winds up getting Christy Swanson, and them two get together, which I met Christy Swanson. And she was pretty, even though she was older, she was still pretty. But anyway, there's that. This I thought was kind of cool. It's like both butterfly effects. I mean, somebody will like that, I've never seen the second one, but I have seen the first one. I really hated Eric Stoltz's character. Sorry about that. I gotta speed this up so I can get it done. I'm making it too long. Pineapple Express, saw that in the movies. Not super big on Seth Rogen as a person, but I like him as an actor. He's kind of an annoying human being, like his Twitter and stuff. But I like this. I like him in movies. I think Danny McBride is literally one of the funniest humans alive. If you've never seen Eastbound and Down, the one where he plays the ex-baseball player, you're missing out. He is fucking hilarious, and the shit he makes up, the words and phrases he uses and the way he curses. I've only seen a few people, I've met a few in real life too, that are famous, and they put curse words together like nobody else could, or like funny sayings together. He's one of them. I saw this in the movies. I still watch it every once in a great while. I think it's alright. I like Craig Robinson too. He's alright. It's got Rosie Perez. They dug her up somewhere. But yeah, I don't think this is a bad movie. I think it's a pretty decent movie, and I figure somebody's gonna like it. It's unrated edition. I don't know what the extras are that, and they got the theatrical and extended versions. So that's what's cool about DVDs. You could own multiple ones that have different stuff on it. Kevin Smith does that all the time. Like every one of his DVDs got like, new bonus commentary track with this person who wasn't in the last one, and it's a whole new experience when you watch it. It's like watching it with friends or something. But yeah, this is really funny. He told this story on one of these talk shows I watched where Kanye West, I think he came over his house, or he went to Kanye West's house because Kanye West invited him, and Kanye West was watching his son play Fortnite, and then asked him if he would be in a biopic about Kanye West and play Kanye West. I don't know, Kanye West is weird, and that's funny. But Plane, Trains, and Automobiles, not a big fan. But it's not that bad. Like it was an alright movie. But I'm not like one of those people that would rewatch it. I watched it when it came out. That was enough for me. But people like this. People like John Candy. People like 80s stuff. So I didn't think it was a bad get. This was super minty, and I like these boxes that they put the DVDs in. If the box is screwed up, you can still sell it with the DVD itself, it still looks like. But these boxes, I really like these boxes, to be honest with you. And this is unrated directors. I've never seen this. I love Jamie Foxx. I think he's one of the most talented human beings alive. He's really multi-talented. It's unreal how talented he is, in my opinion. But yeah, I've never seen this. I used to watch old Miami Vice. I don't know if it's not really one of the things I'd watch. I don't think I'd waste my time watching it, but somebody will. This I figured out in the first 5 minutes, It sucked. I wasn't trying to figure it out. I love M. Night Shyamalan stuff. I love Sixth Sense. I love The Happening. I watch quite often. I think that's a really good one. And I loved all the twists in every one of his movies. That's why I watch them. But this one, I figured out in like 5-10 minutes, and I was really mad at myself because I wasn't trying to figure it out. But I thought it was a little obvious for him because I thought he's like the best at doing that. But I know somebody will like this. It's an M. Night Shyamalan movie. This I watched when it came out. I remember liking it. I'm not the biggest Kiefer Sutherland fan, but I don't mind him. I like him in Young Guns, and that Freeway movie is great. I picked that up a lot, and I have a few of those in the store with him and, God, I can't think of her name. The girl that's married to Ryan Felipe. Shit, I can't think of her name. She's Legally Blonde chick. I can't think of her name, but that movie where he tries to fucking rape her or whatever, and it's called Freeway. It was one of the first movies I remember that Walmart made a $5 movie, and I'd seen it on television. I picked it up and I was so happy. If you've never seen it, just look it up. It's called Freeway. Watch the trailer. I have a couple at the store. I always pick it up. I don't think it might not sell for a lot, but it's just, and I might not even have it for a lot, of course, but it's a really good movie, and he's in it, and he plays this really creepy guy. And Brooke Shields is his wife. But I remember watching this, and I remember kind of liking it. I remember thinking it was a little bit of a thriller kind of thing that I liked. So I figured somebody might like that. This, I don't even remember fucking Caddyshack 2. And it looks like it has Dan Aykroyd in it and everything. Look, it's got Dan, I think that's Dan Aykroyd, and there's Chevy Chase, and is it Tom Arnold? Was Tom Arnold even famous back then? Oh, it's Randy Quaid. Okay, that makes sense. I was about to say, what the fuck? Jonathan Silverman. He's the guy from Weekend at Bernie's. Jackie Mason. He was a comedian. Yeah. I don't remember this. I really don't. And like I said, I don't like Caddyshack 1 that much, but I don't know if I've ever, I just don't remember this. It somehow has slipped my memory. It was super mint, and I've never seen it before, so like I said, I try to have a little bit of everything in my store, and if I've never seen it, I pick it up if it's like nice and minty. This, I wasn't the biggest fan of Marlon Brando. I didn't really understand why they compared him to like other people or said he was the greatest actor in the world, but I actually saw some movie with him in it. It was a Western. It was the one with him and Jack Nicholson, and it was some Western, because I was really into Westerns for a couple of years, and it's something weird about the way he acts. When he acts, it's like he knows the camera's there when he's acting, so he kind of makes everything a little bit more interesting, but he knows the camera's there. Like James Dean pretends the camera's not there, but is always doing something interesting. That's why I think I like James Dean so much. But he knows the camera's there, and he does something interesting. And there's some kind of weird thing about him when he acts. But I watched On the Waterfront because I had to watch it, because then I was like, maybe he is a really good actor. I wasn't sure. And when I watched On the Waterfront, because I was skeptical, even watching Apocalypse Now, I was still skeptical about him. Because he's so, just melancholy in that in a way. But anyway, I watched On the Waterfront. I think that's the one where the Stella one or whatever, and I was really impressed. And I really started to understand the comparisons to James Dean and the one of the greatest actors things. Still don't know about the greatest actor. I still think the greatest actor is Mickey Rourke, but that's just me. If you've never seen The Wrestler, I think that is the best acting that's ever been in a movie, period, by him. And my favorite female actress was Brittany Murphy, and she passed away, so it became Evan Rachel Wood. She's my favorite actress, and Evan Rachel Wood and Mickey Rourke are both in The Wrestler, and it's just like some of the most amazing acting I've ever seen. I can't even extrapolate in words how good his acting is in that, and I think she's amazing. But the sad thing is Whoopi Goldberg's one of my favorite actresses. I can't really stand her in real life anymore. But if you ever seen Color Purple, some of the most amazing acting somebody's ever done their first time acting. I mean, that's unreal performance in that, and that is why she's one of my favorite actresses. But anyway, I've never seen this, but I do think he's a good actor. And I do remember watching something about him chewing bubble gum, and you never chew gum well, maybe not bubble gum, but you never chew gum when you act. That's like something they always tell you. It's like a golden rule. It's like not looking in the camera kind of thing. And he chewed bubble gum or gum, whatever, while he was acting. And it was like people said, "Oh my God, I can't believe he did that." So I did that in a movie I was in once. I was the star of it. They didn't say anything. I just did it. I'm not the biggest fan, but I don't think it's bad. I thought it was funny the first time I watched it. I mean, it was amusing. It was one of those, like, one of those ones that are meant for, like, mainstream people that, like, drink beer every weekend, I think, and find, like, some obscene humor funny. But I like that stuff, too, a little bit, but probably not as much as some people. But it was, like, nice and minty, so, I know people like that movie. And like I said, I don't see these that often. That's why I grab them. Meatballs one, I haven't seen that in years. I'm more of a fan of the other two Meatballs. I can't remember which one it is, but the one with the alien, the hot ganaps, where they get the alien high and he's like fucking floating on the ceiling. That one's one of my favorites. That might be 3, Meatballs 3. It might be 2, but I think it's 3. And the one with Patrick Dempsey is really hard to find, and that was a weird one because Patrick Dempsey, I think Can't Buy Me Love came out first, and that's the one where the girl Cindy Marcini, whatever fucker, Cindy Massini or whatever fuck her name is, she makes him cool, and he's a dork, and she makes him cool. And Seth Green's his little brother, and I actually have a picture. I put the video on my Instagram. It's towards the beginning when I first started. One of I can't think of his name. God damn it! Everything's slipping my mind because I'm getting tired. Courtney Gaines, yeah, from Children of the Corn. He plays his best friend in Can't Buy Me Love, and he yoinks him up and yells at him that he shit on his house. Well, I got Courtney Gaines to yoink me up. Like I'm Patrick Dempsey and I shit on his house. But anyway, that one with Patrick Dempsey, the Meatballs with Patrick Dempsey, he goes to the camp and then this fucking porn star dies and she goes up to heaven, and it was one of those movies where they were like, God said, well, you have to go down and do something good. She goes down and she has to make this nerdy kid who's played by Patrick Dempsey into a cool kid. And Can't Buy Me Love's the same thing. It was weird, and they're both Patrick Dempsey. But that's like Meatballs 4 or something. I like Meatballs 4 and the one with the alien. I think it's either 2 or 3. I think it's 3. But those two are my favorite. But I haven't watched this one in just forever, so I really can't comment on it. This is... I don't want to say crappy or something, because I watched bits and pieces of it when I was younger. But it's not my type of movie. It's like kind of like a musical, and they're on like roller skates, and it's from the disco days. Like, this is like, all the like late 70s disco shit. But I'm sure somebody will, oh my God, it's the guy from Warriors. The main guy from Warriors is in it. What the fuck? Oh man, I saw that movie Hair once. It's a musical. It's the only one I kind of enjoyed. I don't really like musicals. And it had Treat Williams was the main character, and I was just like, what the fuck? But that's almost like, I almost want to watch this just to see the main guy from Warriors and see what he does in it. But yeah, I've never seen this on DVD. I just don't even remember seeing this, so I picked it up. I'm sure somebody will like it. This I do have 1 million copies of this at the store, but I like this. I thought it was one of the better remakes. And Jessica Biel, if you don't even like the movie, she is so pretty to look at, the whole movie. But this is one of those ones I say when you go back and watch it, like you might have not liked it when it came out, but you go back and watch it and you go, that wasn't too bad. Like, I actually think I might have been judging that too hard back then. And I love these movies where they have like the bunch of people and they go, and then they start getting killed off. And I always like that. And I think the reason why is because even if you don't like one of these people, like you kind of hate them, like you're like, oh, fuck, I'd kill that person. Even if you don't like them, you're like actually kind of happy when Leatherface gets a hold of them, like, get him, Leatherface. I hated that person too. But this one, I liked this one. I really did. I still like it. I think it's pretty good. So I always grab it because I don't know, maybe somebody still feels that way, and I'll tell them, like, hey, give it another try. This, I can't say enough about this. I don't know how many times I've seen this in my life. I find Chris Elliott absolutely hilarious. I'm so glad that he got kind of famous in Scary Movie with the Hanson character, because there was years he used to have a TV show I used to watch. It's called Get a Life, and it had Bill Murray's brother and him. He's always with Bill Murray's brother. They must be best friends. And a lot of people don't know Ryan. I think it's Ryan Doyle Murphy or whatever. He's like the guy who plays the the sea captain and SpongeBob. He does the voice, and he's in a lot of movies. But people don't know. Bill Murray has two brothers that are famous, and they're in a lot of movies, but people don't know, and they're both really talented. But anyway, this movie's fucking hilarious. Me and my cousin started watching it when it first came out, and I've never stopped watching it. Every time I find it, and I'll like get rid of my movie collection, then I'll start collecting movies again. Or I did that for years. Every time I find this, I'm like so happy I found it, and I wind up watching it. But if you've never seen this is fucking hilarious. And like I said, Chris Elliott finally got some kind of like real recognition for being as funny as he is playing the Hanson character in the Scary Movie 2. But I have always known he's something of his own thing, if that makes sense. Mr. Deeds, I think it's an underrated Adam Sandler movie. I like Adam Sandler and Martin Lawrence. They're my two guys that if I'm in a real deep depression, I'll either watch an Adam Sandler movie or a Martin Lawrence movie, and it'll lift me right out of that depression that I'm in. I don't know why. It's just been a thing ever since Big Mama's House and all that, and Blue Streak that Martin Lawrence was in, and all Adam Sandler's movies. I saw all Adam Sandler's original movies in the movie theater at premieres. I won a dance contest, and I got tickets to Happy Gilmore, and I got 5 tickets to my friends, and before that I got tickets to Billy Madison for winning the dance contest. And I'm not a good dancer. I trained with my friend just so I could win tickets. I don't know. He taught me this really cool dance, and I'm not joking. I got all my friends to go, and we went to the premieres of both of those. I've always loved Adam Sandler movies. I even watched the one where he's the basketball coach that just came out on Netflix, and I really liked it. There's a couple I don't like, but it's not many. I even like Spanglish I watched recently. I was like, fuck it. But yeah, I love Adam Sandler movies, and I just think this one's good, and I don't know why it's not real popular. And 8 Crazy Nights, I mean, who doesn't know the technical foul, part? There's some funny moments in this for a cartoon, and like I said, you don't see it often, so I picked it up. So that's kind of my haul in the past 2 days, and I'm just trying to give you an idea. I just, I pick up different stuff that I think, I don't see a lot of, so I have it at the store,